Hey, good morning, friends. Good morning, good morning. How are you all? Good to see you. Welcome, welcome. Hello, hello. It has warmed up a bit for these past few days, so that's been a gift. So it's not balmy by any means, um, but we're not quite into the deep freeze yet. So we're that is a joy. Um, so how is everyone? Hello, hello. Good to see you. Good morning on this Thursday morning. It is. We had Sailboat Cup this morning. Hello, hello. So, and a little shot, a extra shot of Joe. It is that kind of a day. Welcome, everybody. Hope you're having a good day. Hello, hello. I see folks coming in. Anyone saying hi this morning? Good to see you. Welcome, welcome. How are you this morning, everybody? Good to see you. Hello, hello. We're we are we are coming into these days of the waning light. Hope that you're finding it rich and full and good. Just have a few more folks come along. So just saying hello to everybody. How are you? How are you? Very good. Welcome, welcome. Welcome this morning. No, but not one person has said hi. This is unusual. It is it's the weirdness. So that's all right. So Will, hello, hello. All right, let's begin this morning. It is the 10th day of December. We are in double digits. The 10th day of December on Thursday at 11:11, and I am so glad that each one of you are here and you're a part of our journey. This this morning, I want to bring us to this little line from Romans, and I think it's so. This is Paul's book to the Romans, the church in Rome. Now, the church in Rome, it's in Rome. It's like the axis mundi of all the cosmopolitan and all the crazy of the world, and so Paul's trying to get them to be something of what they are, of these people who are walking in the way, who are people who are following this Jesus guy, and so he's calling them to this life of sacrifice, and it's this. But the thing is I think we misunderstand this text a lot. I think in what it's really pointing us towards. And hopefully our conversation today will will open that up a little bit and let you maybe understand it, not just understand it in a different way, or maybe come to it for the first time if it's something you've never encountered, but also to own it as your own, because we're in a time, and when we talk about sacrifice, we're often thinking like, oh, I've got to cut something off, I've got to give something up, I've got to have I got to stop eating the cookies, whatever it is, and I'm suggesting to you that it's different than that, and it's different, and that what we're being called to in our lives right now is actually different than just the harshness of sacrifice. That's kind of Old Testament sacrifice. This Christian sacrifice is a different has a different thing to it. Let's see if we can get to it this morning. Here's Paul's words from the 12th chapter of Romans, where he says, "Therefore, I urge you, brothers and sisters, in view of God's mercy, to offer your bodies as a living sacrifice, holy and pleasing to God. This is your true and proper worship. Do not conform to the pattern of this world, but be transforming by the renewing of your mind. Then you will be able to test and approve what God's will is, his good and pleasing and perfect will." That make yourself a living sacrifice so that you may know God's good and pleasing and perfect will. Now, again, this has been dressed up. This text has been dressed up over the years with all kinds of stuff about the things that you should and shouldn't do, and that's why Baptists don't dance, and the old joke of the Jews don't recognize the Pope as the head of the church, and Christians don't or that and Protestant or Jews don't recognize whatever. Never mind the old joke. I'll come back around to it. This morning we're in this place of the living sacrifice, where all the things that we've been told we're supposed to give up or supposed to not be, but really it's something different than that. And I want to give you an example this came to me this last week. This last week I was given a gift by the Hadley clan of a hat, and they found it and I thought it was fantastic and hilarious, and that they're not just kind enough to make me a hat, but to actually create one that, and if you can't read it, it's the Sermonator is what it says on the hat, and that's so. And I laughed and I got this. I really, and it's such a fun gift, and I really appreciate it. It's gonna go right over there and on the old shelf. It's one of those shelf worthy things that I'm gonna put up there. But I wanted to bring it to you today because as much as I think it's funny and hilarious and fantastic and not inaccurate, I tend to prattle on. That it also is in this way a real and beautiful testament of what I think is this text is talking about, of being a living sacrifice. For those of you who know me, and for those of you who've been a part of this journey, I've never, many of you may be surprised that I am, that I'm not, that I ended up in this place, that I ended up pastoring, that I ended up in this journeying as a pastor. For those of you who knew me younger, you might be really surprised that and that we find ourselves that. But in a way, what had happened is, for me, is a bit of this journey of a living sacrifice. Is that I began in my journey of faith, and I'll spare you the whole long and involved tale, But just to say that if you want to know if something is true in your life, if you want to know if something is really real, you want to know if something is really real, the only way to do that is to try it on. And as I began to try on things of faith, as I began to try on my journey in this way, and I began to try on the journey of the role of pastor and the sermonator, that as I began to try that on, more and more I began to find it was true for me, that this was my place to stand in this world and it's my place to be. And all of those, and there were plenty of other things that I thought of doing in this life, and I thought of doing with this life, and I thought of doing in this place. And those had to be let go of. Those had to be sacrificed. But when Paul talks about a living sacrifice, he's not talking about cutting off all these things that are real, that were actually, if we just did them, they'd really be a lot of fun if we could get away with them, but we can't, so we shouldn't do them. But it's this way of pouring our lives into the things that bring us the great joy and the great work and the great discipline and mastery of self that makes us other than the world. Paul's words, do not conform to the pattern of this world, but be transformed by the renewing of your mind. Then you will be able to test and approve what God's will is, his good and pleasing and perfect will. The only way in this life to figure out what is true is to put it on and to begin to live it. How many things are we fighting out right now? How many things in the world how many, the arguments and reasons are we, that Swedenborg puts it this way. He says, to reason only whether a thing is so or not, to think whether it's true or not, is like reasoning about the fit of a cap or a shoe without ever putting it on. I put this hat on this morning, and yeah, the Sermonator, it fits. I love it. I hate it. All of it. It's fantastic. And it's where this life has brought me to. And my suggestion to you this morning is, where is this life bringing you to? Where is this God calling you to make a living sacrifice, to make your life a living sacrifice, to let go of stuff that was probably never yours to begin with, to let go of stuff that maybe was shiny around the edges, but it just isn't who and what you are or is meant to be in this world. That it just hasn't brought yourself to service. The Augustine says it this way. He says, people travel to wonder at the height of the mountains, at the huge waves of the sea, at the long course of the rivers, at the vast compass of the ocean, at the circular motion of the stars, and yet they pass by themselves without ever wondering. That's Augustine from 1700 years ago. And yet we're transfixed with our phones. We're wondering what the political world is going to do. We're all twiddling goosebumps about the next app that will come out, or the next thing that's a part of our life, or whatever it is. And we see all the wonders of the world, and yet we walk by ourselves. This invitation to be a living sacrifice is not all this. It's not about all this cutting off or laying down. It is about a living sacrifice. Remember, the sacrifice was the thing that was placed on the altar, killed, and then consumed by both the priests and other people, and burn, and some of it burned as a way to stay in connection and right relationship with God. Our invitation is to stay right here, right now, and fill our lives with life. Fill our lives with grace and fullness and wholeness. Fill our lives with the things that would that would bring us hope. The great Joseph Campbell says, we must be willing to rid our lives of what we've planned so we can have the life that is waiting for us. The invitation for me to become the sermonator uh, was an invitation that was laid down a long time ago. And in my journeying, in my picking it up, in my going along, there are wonderful and most beautiful and most fantastic gifts that I have received. That a life filled with more life than I ever could have imagined. That's the gift of the living sacrifice. That's the gift. That's the living part of the sacrifice. And it will, and this is what Paul gets so right, is it will bring us not to conform with the patterns of the world. That the patterns of the world would keep us slow and confused and dumb and uninspired. Truly uninspired, in the in spiritus, that word in spirit, that filled with spirit. But it is the transforming and the renewing of our mind that we might know this new way, that we might know the grace that God has for us. The great Henry Drummond says, the end of life, the point of our lives, is not to deny ourselves, nor to be true and try and be pure and good and right, nor to even just keep the 10 Commandments. It is simply to do God's will. Friends, you were born to be a living sacrifice. You were born to lay down and let your very life, the very breath that's going in right now and the breath that's going out, the very being and the very joy of which you are meant to be a living connection to the divine. Remember, that's what the sacrifice was, placed on the altar to be a connection between the people and God. You are called to be that living connection. And for me, and part of that is being the sermonator, and I love it, and I am and there's an old part of me that's horrified by it, and in all of it, it's fantastic, it's great, and it's wondrous, because in our journeying together, in our time in this place, and in this way, in our lives, and of this journey that we've been on over these past months, all of it has come to bring us to one another, and to not conform to the patterns of this world, but to be transformed in the renewing of our mind. I hope you'll be transformed today. I hope you'll stop trying to reason out what is so or not, what's true or not, and look at what hats fit you. What is the hat that fits you? What does your hat say on it? What does your joy come to? That you might, in your journeying and your reasoning, find yourself able to test and approve what God's will is. God's good and pleasing, perfect will for you. All right, friends, that's our journey for today. We never had any comments come in. I'm wondering if Facebook is hiccuping on us in some way or something. I'll look into that. And I missed your comments this morning. I missed your faces. That is a weirdness that I was not accustomed to. It's my hope that your living sacrifice will find you well, that your living connection to the one who made you, and that might shine around the world today, might shine around the people that you know, might be holy and pleasing to God. Again, not because it's pure, not because it's right, not because you're hitting all the numbers, you're getting all the Arthur Murray dance steps right. Like none of that, but only because you have a heart for walking out that which God calls you to and God's will in this world. All right, peace and grace, my friends. We will pick it up. We are this Sunday. We're having um, our Christmas pageant. So we'll be having our all church Christmas pageant this Sunday, and that will be at 10 o'clock on Sunday, and then after that out to back on Tuesday to have to connect again on 11/11. All right, friends. Peace and grace.